As everyone finally calmed down from Imola, it is time for round 2 in the NXTGP iRacing Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux Series powered by Sim Racing Center. And in round 2 we arrive at the gorgeous circuit of Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. That's the only time I will pronounce Imola as his full name. I welcome you all again to Imola, to our second round of the NXTGP iRacing Porsche Carrera Cup. My name is Daan van Zutphen. I will be your commentator here today. Broadcasting is Olaf Oldhoff. As always this season, as always this cup, and well, we will entertain you with hopefully a good evening of racing here today. Qualifying has just begun, and obviously we all know who took pole position last time. Will it be the same this time here at the Imola circuit? 4.9 kilometers. It says 4.86 kilometers. It is most definitely 4.9 kilometers. A 28-degree temperature, and it has an altitude of 42 meters. Those are the basics of Imola. It's quite windy here today. 13 kilometers of wind. I don't know in which direction. That's also very important, in which direction the wind always is. I'm sure every driver knows this. And clear skies, so no rain today. I say no rain, it's a 63% chance of rain, but it's Imola, Italy. Normally always pretty sunny here in Italy, so I doubt we will have any rain. Otherwise it's going to be a tricky and especially an adventure for what I think we have 30 drivers, more than 30 drivers on the grid. Just like last time in Hockenheim, we had 35 drivers, if I remember correctly. And well, if we have somewhere around 30 drivers, it is sure going to be a spectacle here at Imola. Imola, it's a fast track, it's a flowing track, but it's also just a tiny bit narrow just like Hockenheim, and which it makes for a very fun quali track, as there's a lot of gravel on the exit of turn 19 already. Makes for a very fun qualifying track, but also a very hard racing track. But we will find that out here today at the 9th of October at Imola, as Christian van den Burg, the Canadian driver, in the slipstream of that could be Milan Tekens. Milan Tekens definitely running with the same livery. It could be Milan Tekens, but surely this is not going to be that fast lap. The tires have to work themselves through. As the qualifying is already 3 minutes underway. Tom van Hamelen, does he set the first qualifying lap? I don't think so. I think he just comes over the line. And well, I say 3 minutes and 30 seconds. It's quite a long time already. So the first lap could already be set, or well, not already, will soon be set for sure, but by who will again threat the pole position, because last time it was Conor Eastwood's driver, the number 7 Porsche of Luis Belice, who took pole position. Rick Postema did well in race 2 as Frey Koekoek goes to P1 with a 44.4. Not a bad time from the Miniti Racing driver Frey Koekoek, who had a great qualifying last time. Probably disappointing race 1, and then a really disappointing second race. But obviously he will try to avenge his last race result and maybe see if a podium this time is a possibility for the Dutch driver in the green, black and white colors, as he's currently approaching a train of drivers that could be in his favor if they stay just a little bit ahead. Obviously, like I said last time, there is dirty air, but there's not a lot of dirty air like a Formula 1 car. Well, Rick Postema in P2 again. Dennis Blocker as Johannes Treppmann goes to provisional pole position. The German driver in the gold category with a 1:44.0. Impressive lap there by the German drivers, but not everyone has qualified yet. Still only 12 drivers on the scoreboard, on the timing boards. 13 drivers now as Justin van Densen goes to P9. Roel van der Zand, silver driver, goes to P11. This is Louis Beilicke, your man, who won both races last time and qualified on pole position. Led almost all laps of the whole 2 races as Louis Beilicke goes to provisional pole position with an astounding 1:43.4 as Freek Koekoek sets a personal best of 1:44.0, and some guided, how could we forget the Dutch driver, currently sets a 1:43.6 as we still see Louis Beilicke in pit lane. See what Louis Beilicke, how adventurous his outlap will be. Again, back to Christian van der Burg, the 511 Porsche Super Cup. As he has a driver just behind. This is Marco Kerkman. Marco Kerkman in the 512. As perhaps a lot of times are deleted, perhaps, because I only see 10 drivers on the board currently. Well, perhaps more info on that soon. Now, there you go, 18 drivers already. This is some counted, of course. Normally, at least a lot of times, driving for Redline Esports, not in the Redline colors in this competition. Driving for the some counted Urano Esports. In any case, it's the 69 car who's a threat to pole position, no doubt, as Johannes Trepman currently in P3, only 3/10 off pole. That's impressive by the German driver, as perhaps some counted can be a threat again to Louis Beilicke. He hasn't break down his lap, so perhaps he is on a better lap. This is back in Oz in the 525. The Turkish driver in the draft of the car ahead of him. What will the 525 car accomplish? P10 it is for now, and some guided goes to provisional pole position, a 1:43.250. It is for the Dutchman, as he now has a car ahead of himself, which will undoubtedly hold him up. As David Simon Jr., the driver, the silver driver, who you could also just call a gold driver at this point. He's mixing it up beautifully with these gold drivers. Had an amazing fight in race 2 in Hockenheim. Made the life of Louis Beilicke very tough when he approached the German driver, David Simon Jr., Spanish driver actually. As we look at Sylvester van den Bos, the 902, and this is Jelle Bele. Jelle Bele, obviously a driver in real life as well, driving in the GT4, or has driven in the GT4 European Series. As we switch over to Rick Postema in the 505, see what he can do. Coming out of obviously the very tricky, we can call it a hairpin, T7, the Tosa hairpin. As you can see right at the bottom right of your screen, you can see all the sector times. Very nice graph to see. The Vidas Laurinonis currently not finding himself with well, much better times, only yellow for him currently. As again, some counted going for another lap. His last lap he got held up a little bit as Freek Koekoek gets a better lap time in. P4 it is for the Dutchman, 1:43.9 so far it is. Goes back to pit lane as some counted again approaching a slow car, but let's look to the driver in P17, De Vidas in the number 21 Porsche, Justin van Densen. This is Justin van Densen approaching turn 7 here, 962, currently in P23, has a car behind him. Who that car is, I can't quite tell, but perhaps Van Densen is holding him up a little bit. Or he has just overtaken him and is breaking away. Who knows? Currently P23. This is Ewald van Kruijsen in P15. So a little bit faster than the car ahead of him, who is currently again in P23. Van Kruijsen in the 513 car. Yeah, definitely getting held up by the Swiss driver a little bit. Some Kuijten still on pole position. Louis Belijke is driving around on track, where I can't quite tell, as we switch over to Louis Belijke. And is this a better lap for the man who's currently leading the championship? Louis Belijke coming across the line, or was it simply a warm-up lap? I think it was the second. And so Louis Belijke will now try to get a better lap in, try to take over that pole position. He has claimed in the first round, and he just very briefly claimed in this second qualifying of the season. But so far, no luck for pole position in this session. We still have 5 minutes remaining. So he doesn't have much time left, and he doesn't need to get off track. That might have just been an off track exiting turn 6 out of Variante Villeneuve. And obviously, when you get a track limit in qualifying, your time gets deleted. So you have to do all your work all over again and go and drive a second lap. But I think he's still currently driving, so I don't think he has lost that lap and is still on for a better lap. Only 2 tenths to Sam Kuijten. 2:18 tenths to be exact. Just behind that, it's co-driver Johannes Trepman, as he now comes in pit lane. Freek Koekoek obviously trying to get a better lap in, but let's stay with Louis Belijke here. The Coanda Esports driver pulls to the left, and definitely not a better lap for him. So switch over to Lauri Nonnies in the number 21 car. Niels Blauwiekel then in the number 10 Porsche, as we head over to Sylvain Vastenhout. Let's stay for Sylvain Vastenhout just a little bit. P25 he currently is. Will he get held up approaching turn 18 and turn 19 by the driver ahead? It doesn't look like it. Sylvain Vastenhout now also not getting a better lap in. Pulling to the left hand side, Ewald van Kruijsen. Can Ewald van Kruijsen get a better lap in? The Dutchman for Schijfvlak Racing coming over the line, now approaching turn 21 and the black and white flag for his lap. P16, it is P16. He states no improvement for the driver in P16, a 1:45.1, only a tenth shy of his best lap time. He needs to do a better lap if he wants to improve, as the Spaniard Cristian Bugampino in a 61 Porsche Super Cup. As there's a car in the gravel there, I couldn't quite see who that is, but anyway, the Spaniard in P10. And then to Tim Krause, the 506 Porsche. If you just did a better lap time, I don't know, driving for Eiffel Racing. So this is the Spaniard losing it in qualifying, just losing the rear axle, exiting, Tosa exiting turn 7, and he has to do it all over again. And I'm afraid that's qualifying over for the Spaniard actually, because when the clock hits 15:00, then that means the qualifying session is done and no laps can be finished. As this is Louis Belijke, see if he can get another better lap in. If he can, take pole position. The German driver, he needs to do it on this lap, otherwise it is game over for pole position for the German driver. So who will it be? Will it be Louis Belijke or Sam Kuijten? He's still going, Louis Belijke. So is this a better lap, and will he take pole position? The man who took pole position last time doesn't go to pole position, doesn't even get a better lap in, and parking his car at the exit of pit lane. And that is that for Sam Kuijten, Louis Belijke and Johannes Trepman. But we still have P4 currently, Freek Koekoek, the Maniti Racing driver. Can he take pole position? A surprise, it would definitely be. A podium isn't too far for the Dutchman in current P4. Exit of Rivazza, and has it been good enough? Is it good enough for the number 6 Porsche to take a podium spot in qualifying like he did last time? Comes across the line, and it's not a better lap time, just about not a better lap time by, well, what is it, 200ths of a second and a bit more for the Dutchman. Freek Koekoek doesn't get a better lap in. Tim Krause will not get a better lap time in, because the qualifying has ended now. And then straight, presumably, to the results of qualifying we will go as well. It is Sam Kuijten who takes a pole position in the 69 Porsche Super Cup, followed by Coanda Esports driver Louis Beilecke in the number 7 Porsche, only just a bit more than 2/10 shy of pole position, followed by Johannes Trepman, the Dutch driver Frey Koekoek, slots in P4. In P5 it is Tekens, in P6 it is Postema, and in P7 it's Dutch driver Simon Jr. Just had a different couple of nationalities for Simon Jr., but he is Dutch. Just behind it is Alonso in P8, Blocker in P9, Pino in P10, Jelle Bailey in P11, and it's Tim Krause in P12, 1.6 seconds off pole position. Let's see who's in P13. It is Os in the 5-5 in P13, followed by Van Densen, Ro van der Zand, Florian Hovat in P16, Blauwiekel in P17, Ewart van Kruiswijk in P18, Kerkman in P19, followed by Laurin Nilnis, Linden, Horen, Berg, and Hamelen in P24. As I can already see the drivers lined up as we go to Linden in P21, Horen, Berg, Hamelen, Welle, Vastenoud, Nobel, Kamphuis, Jamie de Koele, Aalderink, Bos, and Dijk, I think, finishes the field in P32, unless there are even more drivers. No, finishes the field, as I'm curious to see if there are the drivers lined up on the grid. So to remind you all once again, Sam Kuijten in pole position, on pole position, so he will lead the field towards turn 1 unless he has a little bit of a bad start, which could be a possibility in these Porsches. You need to use the clutch very wise, as the lights are already there and they will shine red. And then round 2, race 1 of round 2 is almost underway here at the NXTGP iRacing Porsche Super Cup. Louis Beilecke, does he have a good start? He is at least alongside Sam Kuijten, and he needs to do it around the outside of turn 1, and it's a difficult task, but if anyone can do it, Louis Beilecke can do it. Gets shoved off wide there by Sam Kuijten. Contact between the two drivers, and Sam Kuijten now dropping down the field like a little bit of a stone. Oh, and we have chaos in the midfield. James Noble is collected. Let's see if we can get a replay, but a lot of chaos in turn 2 for these Porsche Super Cups, and a lot of damage, I am sure, but it is chaos, and with 32 drivers approaching turn 1 almost at the same time, you can expect a little bit of chaos. This is Ruben Aalderink, and who there's a white car as the replay just cuts out. As well, a lot has happened. I can't quite figure out who is who and who made the initial contact which triggered the domino effect, but a lot of chaos nonetheless here at race 1 in Imola. And Louis Beilecke fiercely took the lead of this race. Can he retain the lead of this race? There's definitely a bit of door banging, but no live stewarding. Stewarding will be done after the race if it is deemed a punishable incident, but I'm not the one to decide. Sam Kuijten anyway, fact is and fact remains, in P5 he needs to do some tough work to get to P2 and maybe even to get to P1. Now Frey Koekoek is under attack from Milan Tekens. Milan Tekens, who also drives in real life, now trying to battle with the sim racer. Frey Koekoek, has he got the straight line speed to fend off Milan Tekens? No, it's too late, because Tekens now has the inside for turn 1, but the outside for turn 2, or is it already enough for Milan Tekens? Shoving Frey Koekoek wide there. Frey Koekoek needing to approach the gravel there, losing a lot of time and needing to be cautious now not to lose another position as Sam Kuijten overtakes Milan Tekens in the turn of events. Frey Koekoek on the inside, and this needs to go well. No contact between the drivers, and Frey Koekoek gets shoved wide once again as Rick Postema overtakes David Simon Jr., the Dutchman. But Postema, with an amazing exit out of turn 7, stays in P5 as Frey Koekoek gets absolutely bullied from left, right and center. First getting shoved wide there by that was Milan Tekens, and then by, I think it was David Simon Jr. And now Frey Koekoek, the Maniti driver, had high hopes for a podium, but a podium will be difficult now as the Dutchman Can't be looking in his rear view mirrors too much because he has an absolute train of cars behind. But this is the 526 car of Simon Jr. trying to get back, trying to get that P5 back. He held for, well, a little than 5 seconds, a little more than 5 seconds until Rick Postema overtook him once again into turn 7. And again trying to, seems a little bit faster in the third sector. Technical first sector. Well, I say technical first sector. Basically, the whole track here in Imola is quite a technical track. But definitely some technical corners here, the last ones. As they approach turn 1 again. 4.9 kilometers is a lap. They have 20 minutes to set as many laps as they can, as fast as possible here, as Frey Koekoek is already gaining a little bit on these two just ahead. Two silver drivers as well, Rick Postema and David Simon Jr. If you're new here, we have 3 classes. We have a gold class, a silver class and a bronze class. Currently leading the bronze class in this race is Justin van Densen in the 966 Porsche. So Justin van Densen doing a good job. Currently might attack the 506 from Tim Krause, but doesn't have to look in his rear view mirrors a lot. He has quite a big gap to Marco Kerkman, as the 506 car goes a little bit wide there, exiting turn 9, Piratella. So he disappeared for a while, and now when he disappeared he did a little magic trick because he just overtook Jelle Belen, exiting. That must be Acque Minerali, so that is turn 13. Justin van Densen moves up a place, promotes himself up to P12. Sam Kuitert is in P2 once again on the outside. There he goes of turn 19. That's ambitious by Sam Kuitert, and Johannes Trepman knows how to defend, and he shows it because he still has that P2 in hand. But now Sam Kuitert will have the inside for turn 2 as they go side by side, door to door, approaching turn 1. And will Johannes Trepman make their life difficult for the Dutch driver currently in P2 driving the 69 Porsche? The answer is no. Johannes Trepman let Sam Kuitert by, and that means that the German driver driving the number 18 Porsche slots in P3. A wise decision not to fight too much, because just behind them is a fast driver. His name Milan Tekens, and well, he would also appreciate a podium very much this race, as I think Johannes Trepman loses the back of his Porsche just a little bit, but it's enough to make Milan Tekens sniff a little bit for a chance for P3 as he does the cutback. But it's going to be difficult to make a move on the outside of Acque Minerali. Surely he will pull out, and he does so, and he needs to stay behind for turn 13 as well, because no way someone is going to make a move in that corner, perhaps on the exit, but not in turn 13, as Milan Tekens lets his 23 Porsche show in the rear view mirrors. And instead Sam Kuitert, who got a slowdown, because you can see at the top left side of your screen, excuse me, you have a yellow flag, and the yellow flag means a slowdown. So did Milan Tekens took a little bit too much track. Yes, you can see it visibly falling down the order, just losing time to the cars behind. Johannes Trepman in P80, and P18 in the number 18 car. Milan Tekens again trying to get that P3. He's going to choose the down on the inside. Milan Tekens go, but the move isn't done yet, and gets shoved wide there by Johannes Trepman. Is he still there? He is still there. No, he is not anymore, Milan Tekens, and this is all the better for Sam Kuitert, who is now released of these two cars behind him. I can now finally just move on and head down onwards to P1 if he can manage to get P1, but he of course out-qualified Louis Pelike by a bit more than 2 tenths. Let's say hypothetically he gets to he wins 2 tenths every lap, he just wouldn't get there, so it would need to be a bit more for Sam Kuitert if he has any chance of securing the win here. Milan Tekens now in P4. Again, trying to get that P3, but it wasn't made easy. Down the inside of turn 1. But again, it wasn't made easy. And he's at the back again, losing, just using a little bit of track there, a lot of track. And I'd almost say this is slowdown. I know the track limits pretty well here at Imola, and the wiggle room for the exit of, that's of course Grassini, turn 14, but the exit for turn 15, so that's a left chicane. It's pretty difficult. If you make a little bit of a mistake there, a little bit too much curb, then well, you can get a slowdown like Sam Kuitert demonstrated. Freek Koekoek has overtaken the silver driver Simon Jr. for P6 in this race. Will Simon Jr. attack the Maniti Racing driver? So far the answer is no. Very wise, just staying with Freek Koekoek, because Freek Koekoek obviously wants to get that P6. Getting shoved wide again in the beginning of this race. Only 9 minutes raced, and we have already seen quite a lot here at Imola. Entertainment we have seen nonetheless, even though with only 9 minutes on the clock. Lovely racing here today at Imola. See, perhaps if there are some fights in the midfield, perhaps lower down the field. We have of course 32 drivers here, which is quite a lot. You can see Tiro Linde, P21 and P20. Just pretty close to each other. This is Tiro Linde. Just behind there is Roel van der Zand, Marco Kerkman. So those are the drivers. There's Dennis Blokker. Oh, something happened to Koekoek. Oh, as we just fade away. Just turn away from Koekoek. He makes a mistake. Something happened to Freek Koekoek. See if we can get a replay, because there Freek Koekoek, the Maniti Racing driver, is in P8. He was driving P6 just this lap, but has made a mistake, surely on his own merit. Took the grass on the left hand side on the entry of Acqua Minerali, getting a slowdown as a result as well. Freek Koekoek, who had a really, well, I've spoken with Freek, had a really bad second race, disappointed by the race, and now making a mistake again. Freek Koekoek needing to defend his P8, getting attacked by co-driver Miguel Alonso. The Spanish driver smells the opportunity to capture a P8, but it's snatched away from him, because Freek Koekoek is already ahead after a defending move in turn 1. This is currently the 511. Christian van den Berg, we have seen him a few times in qualifying. The Canadian driver currently battling for 13th place. The unlucky number. You never want to be in P13. But Christian van den Berg wants to be, because he's attacking, well, will presumably soon attack Christian van den Berg. Van den Berg going a little bit wide there. Definitely a track limit, an extra track limit, for new people on iRacing. In a race like this, you can have a maximum of 17 track limits. So if you cross the white line on exit or on entry, if you cut the track, you get either a slowdown or you get a track limit. And if you have 17 track limits, then I think you get a drive-through. So especially at Imola, track limits are not far away. Definitely not far away. It's a fast flowing track, and you try to obviously make use of every bit of track, but it's quite easy here to get an off track at the Enzo Edino Ferrari Imola, if I just pronounced that right. Hopefully I did. Jelle Bele in P11, driving for Next Level Racing by SGAS Esports, and trying to get himself into the top 10. The silver driver, who is not currently the highest silver driver, driving in P4 in the silver category this race. P1 is for Rick Postema in the silver category. But nonetheless, the silver driver battling it out with a few of the pros. Christian Bugampino just ahead of him. And see if Jelle Belen then can make a move for P10 soon. If he can at least close the gap. Because, well, closing the gap is one thing. And after that, overtaking is a second thing. As, again, Jelle Belen exiting turn 13 as Milan Tekens already approaching turn 15 and turn 14 and 15. Approaching now turn 18 and 19. And why turn 18 and 19? Because officially you have these little kinks in the road, in the circuit, in the nature of the circuit, and those count as corners. They are not really corners because, well, in any car they are flat out, but on Imola they do most definitely count as corners, especially if you exit turn 19 here. This little kink to the right is also a corner. So in total, factually, we have 21 corners here. But if you would count the real corners where you won't go flat out, it's a little bit less. So we'll come around 16 corners, 16 actual corners, which is quite a lot for a track. I mean, the track is nearly 5 kilometers. As Milan Tekens now, yeah, he sniffs an opportunity for P3 as he takes the better line into turn 4, into turn 5. And then on the inside, wants to get the inside, has a nose up the inside, contact between P3 and P4. Milan Tekens, well, almost pushes Johannes Trepman in a spin, but gets P3 nonetheless. Rubbing is racing, they say, but the stewards are to the side. Johannes Trepman anyways fallen down to P4. And that means that Milan Tekens has another podium yet again. He didn't finish on the podium in race 1 last time, but in race 2 he did. He clinched a P3. And actually the entire top 3 would be the same as in race 2 we had in Hockenheim, as Rick Postema gets a slowdown now and loses P5 because of it. And that promotes David Simon Jr. up to P5. But let's stay with Johannes Trepman and P3 Milan Tekens just for a little bit, because surely if Trepman has a slipstream, these two guys will battle it out once more in turn 1. Didn't have the best of exit out of turn 19. Does that compromise any chance of overtaking into turn 1? It would seem so. I think it will, as Johannes Trepman at 145.4 as he doesn't dive to the inside, and so he needs to wait for an opportunity. Frey Koekoek getting closer and closer to Dennis Blokker. Dennis Blokker, the silver driver in P7 currently. So 3 silver drivers chasing each other. David Simon Jr. in P5, head of the silver drivers currently, followed by Postma and Blokker. Behind that, again, Koekoek in the number 6 Porsche. Behind that, it's Mikel Alonso, who hasn't caught this train, can't stay with Frey Koekoek. And now again you can see Frey Koekoek visibly getting closer to the spoiler, to the backside of that 503 Porsche. With only 3 minutes remaining, we have a lap of 2, a lap of 3 remaining perhaps. So not a lot of time left for the Miniti Racing driver exiting turn 13 to get back to that P5. It is within reach, but is the number 6 Porsche quick enough to make a P5 at the end of the line actually happen? He's close now, he's close, and he's showing patience. Frey Koekoek, tactical driver Koekoek, not showing himself in his mirrors, but when he's there you'll know it, as he maybe goes for a dive up the inside. He waits just a little bit more, doesn't want to lose any time to maybe compromises his chase to P6. Now in the slipstream, closely following P7, and see if Frey Koekoek can launch an attack on the Dutchman. Spaniard driving behind him, Mikel Alonso. No, again Frey Koekoek just staying behind him, surprisingly actually. But so far so good for Frey Koekoek then. And let's see, Milan Taken still close to Johannes Trepman in the number 18 car. I sometimes just want to say P18, I'm also not sure. But Johannes Trepman definitely not finding himself anywhere near that pace. Again, Johannes Trepman P4 in race 1 at Hockenheim in the first round of the season. He would equal his best result of the season. Milan Tekens again would equal the same. As David Simon Jr. would get his best race result of the season. Did so well in race 2. I mentioned it in qualifying and I'll mention it again. And maybe he will attempt it once more this race, because obviously we have again, if you're new here, we have a reversed top 10. So if it stays like this, Louis Beilicke will start from P10 on the grid in the next race. Also race 2, a race of 20 minutes. So for the entire season we have one qualifying, 2 races, and both those races will be 20 minutes long. And so will it be at the Imola circuit here in Italy. Of course, in the well-known Emilia-Romagna region of Italy. As this is the last lap, I can see the man with the white flag waving the last lap. So that means that this is also the last lap for the man who has won every race of the season, which currently is only 2 races. But he will currently also win, if it stays like this, win the 3rd race of the season and the 1st race of the 2nd round here at NXTGP. Just behind him is Sam Kuijten, but we focus now on this group. We'll see Louis Beilicke when he crosses the finish line, but Johannes Trepman currently in P4, losing just a little bit of time on the exit of Tosa. Now approaching Piratella, approaching Acque Minerali as they exited turn 9 as Louis Beilicke surely now almost coming across the line. The esports driver, let's see when he comes across the line. Yes, let's stay with Louis Beilicke for now, because he is approaching turn 18 and turn 19. He got applause from the virtual grandstands in Hockenheim, again winning every race. He will get a virtual applause again from the virtual grandstands here, because he will race towards the line, exiting turn 19, completing the kink, the little kink on the right, weaving, because he knows it. He wins race 3. Louis Beilicke is your race winner here in the 2nd round, wins the 1st race, as Sam Kuijten gets home in P2, just like he did last time. Milan Tekens finishes in 3rd. Oh, and what has happened here? Frey Koekoek, will he finish in P7? No, he won't. I got confused because that's the lapped guy in the black on your left hand side, so I thought perhaps Dennis Blocker was going slow, but Frey Koekoek just narrowly missed down 2/10 on P7. Well, hopefully Frey Koekoek can get a better result for him, as P21 or P19 almost overtakes P18. Christian van den Berg, the Canadian driver, coming home in P18. Yes, he will, because it is enough. The slipstream isn't enough for the number 21 Porsche. As Sigurd Linde finishes in P20, Marco Kerkman in P21, Sylvain Vastenhout in P23, Roel van der Zand P24, Kamphuis, Aderink and Janne Nobel is the last man who finishes here at Imola. The rest has a DNF behind their name. But once again, Louis Beilicke wins your 3rd race of the season, followed by Sam Kuijten, followed by Milan Tekens, who just behind him is Johannes Trepman. David Simon Jr. gets a best race result of the season. Make this man a gold driver, because he's been doing so well. But I'm of course not the one to decide. Rick Postema, also best race result for him, P6, followed by Dennis Blocker, followed by Frey Koekoek, followed by Mikel Alonso. And we will have a little break, just like we had last time. 5 minutes is the break. So after that, we will surely have a spectacular 20 minutes race again. A reversed top 10, so that will be spectacular. So keep your eyes peeled. We will be back in about 5 minutes for the 2nd race here in this round and the fourth race of the season. We will see you in 4 minutes and 50 seconds. "45 seconds has this warm-up lasted, and that means that we will almost resume with the racing here. Let's go to the starting grid before everyone is already lined up. Takes a while though. 32 cars again. See if we have a lineup. Louis Beleke, in any case, will start from P10 because he of course won race 1 and we have a top 10 reversed grid start. as the feature race. You can see Christian Bugampino, he is on pole position, so finished P10, the Gold driver did. Mikel Alonso in P2, Frey Koekoek will start from P3. Very important for Frey Koekoek, he didn't have a great first race. But he can now perhaps even get the win if he manages to overtake the two Spaniards in front of him. Dennis Blocker in P4, Rick Postema in P5, followed by David Simon Jr. in P6, Johannes Trepman in P7, Milan Tekens in P8. He finished third, of course. Second in race 1 was Sam Kuijten, so he will be P9. Luis Pelike in P10, Pele in P11, Van Densen, Us, Robert van Hoorn, Tim Krause. Then it is Weller in P16, and I'm expecting the lights almost already, because it seems that everyone is lined up, and there are the lights then. And who will have the better starts? Two Spaniards on the front row, and the lights are out now as we go green for the fourth race here at Imola. And Frey Koekoek has an amazing start and takes the lead in Imola in this fourth race. Incredible start by the Manisi Racing driver, and look at the gap he already has. And now it needs to be cautious for Sam Kuijten, Luis Pelike. They are in the midst of the midfield. Oh, another crash in the actual midfield again. And that was almost expected. We had a massive crash last round or last race. And we have a crash, a big crash once more. But now our attention to the number 7 Porsche Cup car driven by Luis Pelike. And Sam Kuijten is 3 places up ahead, and he has made work of that start. And Luis Pelike not so successful. Milan Tekens has had a bad start, fallen down to P10. But Johannes Trepman in front of Luis Pelike, and not making the life of the German so easy here in Italy. A German facing a German, and in front of that Dennis Blocker, the Dutch driver, holding both themselves, holding them both a bit up. Sam Kuijten, as is he going for it? I can see Luis Pelike in the chicane on Johannes Trepman, making it work, making it actually work. And Johannes Trepman now also needing to defend, because Milan Tekens will be up on his inside, but it's already too late. I guarantee for Johannes Trepman to, I think, keep that position. But Luis Pelike, what a move in the chicane there. Normally you don't try it, but of course the Corona eSports driver did. That means that he is now just moved up a place in P8, and chaos and entertainment here probably coming towards turn 1 in the second race. I love a reverse grid, and this is the scenes from a reverse grid as Luis Pelike now in P7 trying to move up another position. He has a car up his outside, needing to be careful because you can get shoved wide easily there, but surviving it so far. And now in P6 as the car over the curb, a car over the grass. And there could have been Simon van Dijk, perhaps the number 21 car, Marco Kerkman. And anyway, P17, and it was Marco Kerkman. Wow, who just got another car involved as well. That was quite mini jumps actually, as we probably head back to Luis Pelike, indeed P6 currently, needing to overtake Simon Jr. And Pelike will know Simon Jr. from last race. What a fight they had also in race 2. That time it was for the lead in the race. This time it is for a spot in the top 5. And will Simon Jr. make it easy? No, because he takes the defensive line. Luis Pelike knows it. This isn't going to be easy, and he will now lose time to Sam Kuijten as well, as Frey Koekoek still in the lead, but Frey Koekoek not managing to get a big gap. He has a little bit of a gap, but the gap isn't huge, which I did expect, but perhaps he got a slowdown of some sort. A little mistake from Frey Koekoek and can now drive away. Still in the slipstream though, the Spaniard, but now Luis Pelike wanting that P6, but I can already see that Simon Jr. is defending, and Pelike will do everything in his power to get this P5, because it's oh so important in the hunt for the lead on the outside. Will he do it? Easy does it, and he's already passed Simon Jr. before they exit turn 2. And Lewis Pelican needing to defend now from Simon Jr. Clean racing though, very clean racing. That's really important. Clean racing, hard racing, but clean. Alright, Simon Jr. a little bit of a look, but I think it's too late now. He won't be able to catch the car on the esports driver. Milan Tekens now didn't have the best of starts, and now as I see a spinner. I see the 525 falling back. Oh, what has happened here? Jelle Bela has had a moment. Be careful with the rejoin. Bela now back in the race, and now immediately battling. What has happened here? This is Jelle Bela. This is a Turkish driver, the 525. Oh, a lunge too late, really. Too ambitious for, the 514. I think, who was that? It could have been Roel van der Zand. But, well, almost taking a car with him there. Roel van der Zand. This is Roel van der Zand, so it was not Roel van der Zand. Perhaps Marco Kerkman. But, in any case, a bit of a nasty incident there, as we see Johannes Trepman in P9. Sam Kuitert can take the lead here. Coming towards turn 1, Frey Koekoek is already side by side. Sam Kuitert in 1 lap time, he could gain 2 positions here. Frey Koekoek on the outside, letting Sam Kuitert go, choosing the inside. No, he stays P2, or he wants to stay P2, I must say. And Sam Kuitert taking the lead with relative ease, and says, well, to go on the esports driver Lewis Pelican, see if you can do the same. Because if it stays like this, then Sam Kuitert will gain points on Lewis Pelican, not a few, quite a lot if Pelican finishes in P5, but we know Pelican. If he finishes in P5 this race, a miracle probably needs to happen. Although it's definitely far from impossible. Frey Koekoek not wanting to battle, not wanting to lose too much time, because he has a P2 on his hands currently. And that P2 is important for Frey. For Koekoek, it would be his best race result of the season if he stays P2. And he knows it because Lewis Pelican does drive in P5, which still could be a threat. Anyways, Janne Nobel, the German driver, behind him driving Marco Kerkman. Kerkman just looking a little bit as he won't do it in chicane, surely not. Miguel Alonso getting a slowdown there as Roel van der Zand. I don't think that front end is so streamlined, or was it a camera angle? I thought he had some damage there. I still think he has some damage on the right hand side. Anyways, a fight just in front of him. Ewout van Kruijsen. Yeah, surely Roel van Zand has damage. But Ewout van Kruijsen now for Skyvlak Racing needing to Vettel is going slow and holding these 2 drivers up a bit. And if he's not careful, those 2 drivers will become a whole lot more. Sylvain Vastenhout in the McQueen livery, not to be confused with Sam Kuitert, but also there. Van Kruijsen on the inside, defending. Almost see why going into turn 1. Surely that would never go well. A Turkish driver making contact with Van Kruijsen, and the 525 car finding himself in the gravel. And that will perhaps be looked by the stewards. This is the 525 with his quite big trip to the gravel there. As yes, Ewout van Kruijsen gets overtaken there by the Porsche of Roel van der Zand. Ewout van Kruijsen looking down the inside or simply defending from Vastenhout. Just behind that, it's Marco Kerkman in the slipstream of Ewout van Kruijsen. And it's now side by side towards turn 8 for Marco Kerkman and Sylvain Vastenhout. And they both make it out alive, and Marco Kerkman goes by. Marco Kerkman goes by Ewout van Kruijsen, both driving for Skyvlak Racing. And that's a swap between teammates, I must presume. And now Van Kruijsen can hold the pack behind him up. And Kerkman can move on, and who's also moving on, his name is Lewis Pelican. I'm sure that Koekoek is now looking in his rear view mirrors and understanding, god damn it, there's a car on the esports driver just behind him. Although I must admit, Sam Kuitert and Frey Koekoek, the gap is only 0.5 of a second. And surely Frey Koekoek has the benefit of the slipstream, but doing a great job so far, the Dutchman is. 44.3 personal best, 44.5 for Sam Kuijten, but Louis Beilicke rapidly closing in already. The gap's already 1.8 seconds. I think we'll have a feisty and entertaining battle for the lead here today. So let's focus on Frey Koekoek and the chasing Louis Beilicke. Excuse me, I probably need to drink some water with the much talking I do. So if you haven't heard already, and if you're new here, NXTGP, the Porsche Carrera Cup, Benelux Cup, isn't the only series we have here. We have an endurance series. We have also the MX5 World Cup. You can still sign up for the MX5 World Cup. If you win the MX5 World Cup, actually, you get 75 euros. And if you get P2 in the general standings, in the overall standings, you get 50 euros. And P3 gets a reward of 30 euros. And there are still more rewards coming after P3, as we see a fight between Postema and now Milan Tekens. Milan Tekens wanting to get that P5, just didn't have the best of starts, and that's compromised his whole race really. And now desperately wanting to get by Rick Postema on the inside for turn 18, and that's a job well done by Milan Tekens, as David Simon Jr. had a little bit of a look. Louis Beilicke 1.1 seconds, just gaining rapidly, not only on Frey Koekoek but also on Sam Kuijten. But now David Simon Jr. maybe needing to look in his rear view mirrors. But for now, stay with Louis Beilicke. He is rapidly charging towards these two drivers. A second a lap is he taking out both Frey Koekoek and Sam Kuijten. Louis Beilicke has the pace advantage here on the Imola circuit here in this fourth race. Well, I was just talking about the MX5 Cup races. We also have a GT3 World Endurance Championship. The next round is on the 14th of October. That's going to be the Bathurst 3 hours, and if you sign up for, you can still sign up, you can also sign up for single race day. So if you don't want to do a full season, that is a possibility. But P1 receives a grand staggering 200 euros, the team who gets P1. P2 goes to 150 euros. Well, goes to 150 euros goes to the one who gets P2 in the general standings at the end of the season, and P3 receives 100 euro. There are still money prizes below that, so make sure to check that out. Go to nxtgp.nl and you will find more info. But again, next race is the 3 hour of Bathurst. But now Frey Koekoek under attack by Louis Beilicke. Will he choose the inside? Louis Beilicke, yes, he will. Down the inside, the Grande Esports driver goes, and Koekoek knows it. He is not going to defend because he knows he doesn't have the pace advantage that Beilicke has, taking out a second, almost a second a lap. And for now, Koekoek slots in P3, which he will probably be happy with, because this will be the best race result of the Dutchman in the number 6 Porsche. Now, Louis Beilicke sets his eyes on Sam Kuijten. Sam Kuijten commonly drives for Team Redline, not driving for Team Redline currently, at least not driving in Team Redline colors. And again, he has the number 7 behind him. So Frey Koekoek's probably waiting for something to happen, something spicy. That's the reason why he's probably, also not making the life of Louis Beilicke too hard. He's now grabbing his popcorn, probably eating his popcorn, and hoping to see if anything unfolds, if these two collide, because we now know they have collided in turn 1 at the first race, and perhaps Sam Kuijten will not appreciate it. So things might get exciting here with 7 minutes to go. We have a fight for the lead in the 4th race here at NXTGP in the 2nd round, hosted at Imola. Let's find out if we will have an exciting fight for the lead, which will no doubtably come in a few laps time, as the Maniti driver Frey Koekoek still behind. They have a huge gap to the man currently in P4, Christian Pino, but getting attacked by Milan Tekens, the driver who also drives in real life the number 23 Porsche. and see if the number 23 Porsche can overtake Burampino anytime soon. Just behind that is David Simon Jr. So Simon Jr. is also there. Milan Tekens will be aware of this and needs also to look in his rear view mirrors a little bit. But now the slipstream is for Milan Tekens on the outside. Will he make a move on the outside? It's quite ambitious, not impossible for the Dutch driver. Getting held up a little bit by the Spanish driver in front of him. And that's good for David Simon Jr. because he's now alongside Milan Tekens. And now Milan Tekens not alongside David Simon Jr. anymore. So actually he backs out of it. David Simon Jr. did not expect, but Milan Tekens eager to get that P4, surely, but he doesn't want to lose too much time with the fighting, because if he attacks and it doesn't go his way, then he could lose a position in the process. So Milan Tekens very aware of what's going on here. I definitely wouldn't want to be in the position Milan Tekens is right now, having a little bit of a look down towards turn 12, exiting turn 13. And that would be brave stuff from the Dutchman. And now again, just not making an overtake attempt, as they are gaining on Frey Koekoek. Frey Koekoek falling back, not getting the, just not staying attached to the two guys in front of him, but Milan Tekens on the inside, not going for the move again, given the Spanish driver in front of him is defending. And now this can get feisty, because Milan Tekens has the better exit, because the Spanish driver just tapped a little two wheels in the grass, and that means that now this could finally be the corner, be the turn 1, that Milan Tekens can finally overtake the Spanish driver. Side by side they go to turn 1, and behind them just as well on the outside Milan Tekens now turns to the inside and has the move done. And then Johannes Trebman wants to make a move on David Simon Jr. All the while Louis Beilicke is closing in on some Kuiten, but this is going to be exciting. David Simon Jr. on the inside of turn 5. Is this going to go well? Room being given between the two. Johannes Trebman trying to get the nose in as well on the outside of turn 7, and it's going to be very difficult, and it's too difficult for the driver, for the German driver in P7 at the moment, and so he stays in P7 with just over 3 minutes remaining here in this second race of this round here at Imola. It gets exciting here at the front of the field. Maybe it'll get even more exciting for the lead of this race, as Louis Beilicke slowly but surely closing the gap. It's 3/10 now, and that's definitely enough to get a good slipstream. Some Kuiten didn't have the best of exit coming out of the chicane. That might compromise or maybe set Louis Beilicke up for a move. Who will take the victory in this race, in this second race of this second round? It's still undecided. 2/10 is the gap, and the gap is coming down for the race, for the lead of the race here. Louis Beilicke in the number 7 Porsche Carrera, and in front of that it is some Kuiten in Dynaco livery. Louis Beilicke with a surprise attack. Yes, down the inside. Can't manage it. Contact between the drivers. Just a little love tap between Beilicke and some Kuiten, but they are still fighting. And Louis Beilicke is still there. Defensive line for some Kuiten there, as Louis Beilicke tries to compromise his exit, tries to make the man in front make a little bit of a mistake down the inside. He's eager for that P1, but so is some Kuiten eager to win this race, win his first race of the season. And maybe down the outside of turn 8, turn 9, Piratelli wants to do the switchback. Running wide for some Kuiten there, needing to use all the track he can. Fantastic fight for P1. This probably won't end right until the end of this race. Track limits again for some Kuiten, needing to be careful there. Not sure how many track limits the Dutchman has already, but you can get a maximum of 17 track limits. Otherwise, it's a drive-through. And again, Louis Beilicke at the back. Reset, same situation as last lap. And it's exciting once again. I'm quite curious what will happen now approaching turn 1. Exiting turn 1 once again, and now the fight again begins for P1 after, well, a break of, let's say, 4 corners. White flag is waved. This is the last lap, so the one who crosses the line first after this lap will win this race. Luis Belica on the outside, not attacking Sam Kuijten so far, not wanting to compromise his position because he's close. He's really close, Luis Belica, but it's so hard to overtake with a good competitor on Imola here, as he tries everything. He's trying to let Sam Kuijten know that he's there, right, left and center, showing himself in the mirrors, but Sam Kuijten knows it, and Sam Kuijten knows how to defend in from the lead of a race, and now the gap is 0.4 of a second. That's simply too much for Luis Belica to try anything of an attack to get pole position, to get P1 in this race. Maybe he can close the gap just a little bit in towards turn 11, in towards turn 12, exiting Acqua Minerali. The gap still 3/10, losing a bit on the exit. Meanwhile, Frey Koekoek is still in P3, but no one still knows up until the finish flag who takes P1. Sam Kuijten can still make a mistake and just doesn't have... doesn't he have the best exit? He does have a better exit using the slipstream of the car in front. The car in front should actually let these two drivers go, and he does. And, well, Luis Belica simply too far away, but what an incredible fight these two drivers had. But this time the win goes to Sam Kuijten in Imola. The Dutchman wins for the first time ever here at NXTGP and is your rightful winner in race 2, in round 2. And Luis Belica finishes in P2 after a hard-fought P2 as well, needing to come back a lot more than Sam Kuijten at the beginning. Frey Koekoek, best race result of the season. He can be very happy with that. On the podium, the Dutch driver goes. Milan Tekens in P4, Christian Bugampino in P5, followed by Johannes Trepman, who maybe will be a bit disappointed in P6 as David Simon Jr. finishes in P7. Then it is Alonso Hendrik Postema and bronze driver Tom van Hamelen in P16. Oh, we're gonna get a position change, a change for P15 and 16 on the line, and it will be Tom van Hamelen who gets P15 back in Oz in the 5-5. Got a really bad exit out of turn 19, out of Rivazza, and that is that for Oz. Then Jan Nobel in P19 finishes P19 just behind Ruben Alderink, and Sylvain Vastenaut will be your last finisher. So, again, take a little breath, ladies and gentlemen, because these are the standings after, these are the final standings. These are actually practice race results, but yes, these are the practice race result instead of the race 2 result. I'm sure we'll get that figured out pretty soon. There are the feature results. Alright, well, Sam Kuijten wins his first race of the season. Just behind that is Luis Belica in P2. Frey Koekoek, best race result of the season. P3 goes to him in this second race. Milan Tekens gets a P4, very consistent so far from Milan Tekens. It is P5 for Pinot, P6 for Trepman, P7 for David Simon Jr., perhaps his best race of the season. Alonso takes P8. No, I can assure you that is not Fernando Alonso. I wish it were, but glad to have Alonso in the number 9 in the Porsche still. P8 for Rick Postema, P10 for Horen, P11 for Blokkeroe van der Zand in P12. Marco Kerkman finishes in P13. It is P14 for Justin van Densen, Hamelen in P15, Os in P16, Kamphuis in P17 and Alderink in P18. We then go to P19, which is finished by Jan Nobel, Sylvain Vastenhout in P20. Yes, Ewels van Kruiswijk in P21. Dijk in P22, Bos in P23. Almost all of these drivers have DNF. Blauwikkel, Bele, Lauri Nonnies, Werler, and Linden. And then we have 4 drivers more, but they also have a DNF in front of their name in race 2, round 2. As Jamie Koele finishes the field. DNF, I think, on the first lap. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my God, was it an eventful race 2? It was an eventful race 1, eventful race 2, and we will now look forward to the third race of the season, which will be our home race, a home race for a lot of drivers here. It will be driven at the circuit of Zandvoort, 23rd of October. So in 2 weeks, we will be back again just on your Thursday. And well, I will take a breath. I will take a rest from this chaotic, amazing, entertaining second round of the season. And I will see you all well and rested at the third round of the season, where we will have another 2 races, another qualifying session, and I'm sure it will be eventful. So, thank you, Sim Racing Center. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the drivers for making this round possible. Again, I can't wait till the next round again on Zandvoort, 23rd of October. We will see you then back.